It was the wrong side of 2 in the morning, and the rain was doing my thinking for me. Then the door went, the way a door goes when a man's too tired to knock soft. Brogan filled the frame like bad news in a wet coat, and I knew before he sat down that he hadn't come for the whiskey.
Lieutenant, you look like a man who walked past 3 bars to get here, which means it's the kind of trouble you can't drink. I'll put the coffee on. Somebody in this room ought to stay sober.
Skip the coffee, Dale. I've been a cop 20 years in this town, and 20 years everybody I ever pulled out of that harbour ran the same direction. Down, into the mud, into the dark, into nothing. Tonight I got one that runs the other way.
Bodies don't run up, Patty. That's the whole arrangement. That's why the city sleeps at night.
This one does. I followed it past the docks, past the Blue Room, past every name I was told to leave alone. There's a room at the top of it, and tomorrow night there's a chair in that room with my name on it. I got the address. I'm done waiting.
He's not asking you for a favor. Look at his hands. A man asking a favor doesn't sit that still.
She's right. You spend your life saying the trace goes nowhere. Well, I found the where. And the old truth still holds, the one nobody likes. The price of pulling a thread like this is standing next to it when it comes loose. I want you standing next to me.
He had a name and a chair waiting and the address folded in his fist like a man holding his own ticket. He thought he'd decided to pull a thread. I sat there in the rain and the jazz and watched a good man decide to die for something. And the worst part, the part I'd carry, was that he didn't know it yet. Tomorrow night. And he wanted me standing next to him when it gave. The Blue Room was quieter than I'd ever heard it. Pauly Marchetti sat at his table in the back like a man who still owned the room, except a man who owns a room doesn't keep his eyes on the door. Someone had reached into his city and clipped one of his own without so much as a phone call, and the smile he gave me was the smile of a fella counting the help.
Sit down, have a drink. You know what I like about you? You come in the front. Most men in this town, they come at me sideways, through a friend of a friend. But somebody lately, they don't come at all. They just reach. No name, no respect. A man dead under the L, and nobody asked me nothing. In my house.
Funny thing about a house, Pauly. You spend 20 years telling everybody it's one big happy family, and then one day somebody redecorates a room you didn't know you'd lost. The man at the top didn't ask you because he doesn't think he has to anymore. That's a crack. Cracks let light in. Could let the right people in too.
You're a smart man, so I'm gonna talk to you smart. There's no crack. There's a loose wire, is all. And a reasonable man, he don't wait for the loose wire to start a fire. He cleans his own house before somebody comes to clean it for him.
And which wire would that be?
You got a friend with a badge. Old fella, long memory. 20 years he keeps a grudge in his pocket like a rosary. And now, I hear, he's finally got something that pulls up instead of down. That's a wire that goes right through my walls. So it gets burned, clean. And anybody standing next to it when it goes, well, you don't stand next to a thing that's on fire and expect to keep your coat. I'm telling you this once, as a friend. I don't say things twice.
I'd come in trying to work the crack like a crowbar, pry the family off the man at the top while the seam was still soft. But Pauly wasn't going to be the one left holding the reach. He was going to seal the split himself, weld it shut with whatever he had to burn. And the thing he meant to burn was Brogan's thread, with Brogan still wrapped around it. I'd handed him the loose wire just by knowing where it ran. Outside, the rain had started again, and I had a phone call to make that I already knew I shouldn't. The back room at the Chronicle smelled like cold coffee and hot lead, and Flynn was spreading paper across the table the way a card sharp spreads a deck. He'd been chasing the money for a week. When a man like Flynn stops talking and starts pointing, you button your coat, because the draft is coming.
I followed it the whole way up, and it doesn't dead end this time. Every other thread in this city runs into a wall and stops. This one keeps climbing. There's exactly one man whose thread runs up instead of nowhere, and you already know his name, because he's the only honest cop left who'd be fool enough to pull it.
Don't say it, Flynn.
Brogan, it's Brogan. The next name's already written and it's his. But that's the story, don't you see it? We run it front page 20-point type. You can't bury a man the whole city's watching. Print is armor. Print is the only protection a cop like that has ever had.
It's not armor, kid. It's a target you painted yourself. You run his name and you tell the man at the top exactly how close his pen is. You warn Brogan, and a stubborn Irishman pulls harder. There's no false address this time, no decoy. He's already seen me run that play, and he's holding the only door that opens out of this. I'd spent my whole life finding the third way out. The side exit, the burned wire, the lie that buys a man one more morning. I stood in that back room and went looking for it, and for the first time the room had only 2 doors, and both of them were on fire. Brogan was walking into it because he chose to, and there wasn't a clever thing left in the world I could do to turn him around. The tide was out, and the harbor smelled like everything it had ever swallowed. Brogan was standing at the end of the pier where the water gives back what it doesn't want anymore. 20 years he'd waited for a thread that ran up instead of nowhere. Tonight he had it in his hand, and I'd come down to the water to take it out of his hand, because the name written next wasn't Marchetti's, it was his.
Don't say it. Whatever you walk down here to say, swallow it. I've got him. After 20 years, the line finally runs up instead of into the dark, and it runs straight to the man who put her in the ground. I'm pulling it tonight.
And the second you pull it, you're the body under the next L train. They've seen the move, Patty. They wrote your name down before you ever found the thread. You don't get to be the man who tells the truth. You only get to be dead with it in your mouth.
Then let me. You hear me? Let me. I loved her. And they killed her. And they made me carry a badge over her grave for 20 years like it was nothing. This is the one honest thing I've got left to do. Don't you dare take it from me. You're the one man in this city I figured never would.
There was a crack in the family that night, small and real, the first one in 20 years. Brogan's thread ran straight through it, pull it, and the whole thing came down. So I did the only thing that kept him breathing. I'd already made the call. I'd handed Marchetti the loose wire an hour before on a payphone in the rain, and the crack was closing cold while we stood there. No kill, no noise, just a door swinging shut on the one shot he'd waited his whole life to take. It's gone, Patty. The thread went cold an hour ago. I closed the crack myself. You're going to walk off this pier alive and hate me for the rest of it, and that's the trade. I'd rather have you breathing and cursing my name than clean and floating.
You fed it to him. You gave it to Marchetti. You took her out of my hands, and you handed her back to the man who buried her. God help you. You just killed the only part of me that was still worth saving. And you did it so I'd live to feel it.
He didn't hit me. I almost wished he had. He just looked at me the way you look at a thing you can't take back, and then he walked off the pier into the fog, alive and emptied out. I'd spent the one thing I swore I never would, a friend's reason to get up in the morning, to buy him another morning he wouldn't want. In this city you don't win. You just decide what you can stand to lose, and then you lose it on purpose. Dawn came up gray over Calloway Bay, the kind of light that doesn't warm anything, just shows you where the dirt is. I'd been at the desk all night with a bottle that didn't help and a phone that finally stopped ringing. Brogan was alive. That was the part I was supposed to feel good about.
You look like something the harbor coughed up. I brought coffee. Don't thank me, it's the same pot from yesterday. So is the bad news, if you're keeping a tally.
Say it, Dale. You've been holding it since the stairs.
Brogan turned in his shield at 4 this morning, walked out of the precinct and didn't look back. 20 years of hating Marchetti, and the one thread that ran up instead of nowhere? It's cold now. You made sure of that. He knows it was you.
Marchetti closed his house, the cracks sealed. The man at the top walks away without a mark on him, and the only honest cop in this town is breathing because I took the one thing that made him worth the air.
You kept him alive. That used to count for something around here. I'd tell you that you did the right thing, but you'd know I was lying, and I've never lied to you. Not once. That's the deal we have.
She was right, the way she's always right. I bought a man his life and paid for it with the only part of him that mattered. The vendetta was dead, the badge was spent, and somewhere in a room I'll never find, the next name was already written, closer now than it had ever been, in the quiet where the last honest man used to stand. The city didn't change. It never does. It just makes room.